Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Those Were the Days, the show that looks at old TV with new eyes. I am your Princess of Power for this week, Amy, and I am joined by a legally distinct but very similar cast of podcasting characters from another show that might be geared at a slightly different audience. Tonight I have with me my good friend Travis.
Ah, you idiots. You bunglers. You morons. Oh, no, that's a different show. I'm sorry.
we have my sidekick, Steven.
Hello, my name is Hordak, leader of the Horde. Today for Liberty Medical. I once suffered from sleep apnea, but thanks to Liberty Medical, I have all my CPAP supplies delivered straight to my door. Thanks to Liberty Medical, I can sleep soundly, so I can lead the Horde against She-Ra, and finally defeat her forever. If you suffer from sleep apnea or require help after a lifetime of smoking like my associate Huntara, call Liberty Medical today.
Oh, damn it, Steven got the belt.
What the hell do I have to follow that?
I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. And my trusty steed, Audie.
I almost want to give up. No, but I gotta say this. I never realized in a cartoon aimed at girls that I would see so many upskirt shots, even without the skirts, and it was okay for TV.
Yes, that's it, everybody. We are here tonight talking about a favorite show of mine, though I'm pretty much sure I could not have told you anything about it. She-Ra, Princess of Power. It is so. I mean, we're gonna wind up. There's gonna be a little talk about He-Man because you can't talk about She-Ra without He-Man because that's how it do be. So, series premiered in 1985, ran through 1987. Two seasons, 93 episodes. Phenomenal. Show was created because they discovered that there was this female audience, including yours truly, to He-Man, and they decided that they wanted to give them a show of their own. Now, I appreciate this, right? This is the thing we talk about a lot. Things like, let's have a woman be James Bond. It's like, okay, but like, sure, but also we could just give them their own character, even if it's the same character. But that's fine. It's fine. So, She-Ra, Princess of Power. I love this show, man. I spent the ages of 4 through 6 with a plastic sword down the back of my t-shirt, as I'm sure many other people do. Like I said, though, I don't know that I could have told you anything about it beyond She-Ra and her sword and being He-Man's twin sister. I want to know what you guys have a history with She-Ra or not. We'll start with Steven.
No. So I'm one of those kids that was born in the 80s, but mostly would consider himself a 90s kid. So, like,
Yeah.
I just missed the cutoff for a lot of these cartoons. Like, I got Thundercats a little bit. I played with He-Man toys. But mostly
Sure.
I have known She-Ra only as, like, a cultural thing you'll see on a t-shirt somebody's wearing, or like some retro thing. Like, I mostly am aware of it only because I've seen souvenirs and stuff around She-Ra, but it's basically brand new to me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Audie, how about you?
Okay, so I've got a sister 2 years younger than me, so She-Ra definitely played in our house. So as much as we had He-Man action figures, we definitely had She-Ra action figures. My sister had the girls ones. I definitely remember having a Hordak figure. I don't
Nice.
remember if we had any of the other bad guys. kind of thing. But that was about it. But I definitely remember it being a thing and watching it and stuff. And it is funny how much of a cultural thing it has been ever since. That,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, including like the reboot they did on Netflix several years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Trav, how about you?
So I was a He-Man kid. Had a lot of the toys. I remember having one of them specifically that was covered in a fur that was basically AstroTurf.
Mhm.
Um,
Moss Man.
Moss Man, that was the one. I had Moss Man. I had
Mhm.
Triclops. I had a bunch of the toys. I don't think I ever had any of the She-Ra action figures. I may have had a friend that had Hordak. But I remember the show and I remember it existing because it was, it was basically the same show as He-Man, just with a
Yeah.
girl at the lead. My sister was a couple years younger than me, wasn't a big She-Ra fan that I remember.
Sure.
I remember her being a lot more into like Gem and those cartoons. But
Gotcha.
I'm sure I came across and probably watched episodes of this, not even realizing that it wasn't He-Man.
Yeah.
Or maybe they may have been just the crossover episodes
Which
because
was like
He-Man shows up in a
the
lot.
first third of the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So my best friend Greg, prior to school, like he was my best friend up until like went to school. He lived 2 doors down from me. He was big into He-Man, so I was big into She-Ra. We ran around with plastic swords down the back of our t-shirts. And that was a whole thing. And it's really funny because I don't remember a whole ton outside of that, but I have a very clear memory in my head of the day when he was no longer into He-Man and was instead into Rambo, and I could not find myself a counterpart and was very upset. So
Oh, that's a
um,
tragedy.
that's my own traumatic past with She-Ra,
Mhm.
Princess of Power. Now, so this was created by J. Michael Straczynski and Larry DiTillio, who wrote this episode.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Larry
nuts.
DiTillio. I want to talk about Larry DiTillio for a hot second in this room full of nerds,
Mhm.
because in addition to TV writing, he did quite a bit of RPG writing,
Mm-hmm.
including collaborating on the Masks of Nyarlathotep and the Terror Australis for the Call of Cthulhu game put out by Chaosium, good friends of the show. So, wild that I read that. I mean, it makes sense, right? Your
Oh,
world
yeah.
building,
Yeah.
it's,
Mhm.
it's the same thing. Um,
Absolutely.
Especially with all the creatures that are the bad guys. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. That totally makes sense.
yeah. Straczynski was also he did a bunch of sci-fi. He did the real Ghostbusters. He did a bunch of stuff too, and they worked on it until but Mattel wouldn't credit them after a point,
Of course not.
and so they both left, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't blame them at all. But there's a great quote from the two of them, because like they created the show Bible, they laid everything out. So there's a great quote, um, and it's one of the things Larry and I decided very early on was that She-Ra couldn't just be He-Man with boobs. The show had to go deeper than that, especially given that we were creating this for a female lead character. Which is cool. Like,
Mhm.
that's nice. Thanks, guys. I mean, it did kind of turn out to be He-Man with boobs, but it's
Yeah.
fine. It's
Well,
fine.
their heart was in the
All right,
right
so
place. They
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
with a goal, and then they
They
did what they
tried.
thought was the right thing.
I was
Yeah.
gonna
Also,
say.
I do have to quickly say that J. Michael Straczynski, you said he got involved in some sci-fi. He was the creator of
I mean,
Babylon
no.
5.
Yeah.
And
No.
probably one of my favorite writers on The Amazing Spider-Man ever.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Oh, that's where
Also
I know
Thor.
his name from. I was like, I've seen
Yeah.
it. I've seen it written.
Mhm.
Where did I see
Yeah.
it written?
Mhm.
It's because he does a ton of comics. Now I know.
Yes,
Yeah, but
that
you
too.
didn't
Amazing
see it
Spider-Man,
written
Fantastic Four,
Mhm.
Thor.
on She-Ra.
I
Yeah.
did not.
No.
because they did not do that. All right, so the so the episode that we watched, it's called Hantara. Now, I want I want to give a brief overview of how I chose this episode. I did what we always do, which is I went to IMDb and I saw what the highest rated episodes were. And then I did a quick skip through, and I saw there was a muscle mommy in it, and I was like, cool, we're there. We're done. Let's check it out. Check. Let's choose this one. And it was not a disappointment. This is a wild show. All right. So we open in the fright zone. A+. Love this. Fantastic. Hordak and his obligatory irritating sidekick Imp are berating the Hordsman for failing yet again to stop She-Ra.
I love that it's like all these serious bad guys, and he's got like the cutest little sidekick
Oh,
next
yeah.
to
He's got
him.
the cutest little guy.
Mhm.
And he's berating all of them. Like there's like a scorpion lady.
Mhm.
You'll never guess her name. There's like a cat lady. Again, you'll just never know. They are just the bad guys, man. I mean, it's Catra, it's Grizzlor, Hordak, fine. Scorpia, that's her name. Her name's Scorpia. They've got
Surprise.
cheekbones you could cut like
Mhm.
a
You can
sandwich
cut
with.
glass with those cheekbones.
Yeah, they're so good. So Hordak tells them that Horde Prime is displeased. So he's called somebody up. He's called this Sylaxian up, and they're hunters and trappers, and she's going to catch She-Ra. And and as he's berating all of them, he's like, you should be more like Imp. And Imp is just this like little gargoyle-y guy jumping around on the arm of his chair.
And just repeating
So
everything
good.
Hordak
Mhm.
says.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In a very
And,
cute voice.
Yeah. So Hordak warns that if this person that he's called succeeds, that the rest of the hordsmen will spend their time cleaning out garbage bins with tiny brushes. And some of the best facial animation ever to grace the 80s happens between Catra and Scorpia as they do like the best resting bitch faces I've ever seen. Thinking about cleaning out tiny. I mean, I wouldn't have had them down for having garbage bins, quite frankly, in the
Yeah.
fright zone. It's pretty progressive. So this outsider arrives, and her 3-pack-a-day voice announces her as Huntara. Now,
My gosh.
this voice, do you know that this voice is a voice I would decide to do and about 30 seconds later immediately regret but already be committed.
Mhm.
Yep.
This this is the voice that JF does for one of our Akolo characters in our super secret kayfabe podcast that exists in the world, and then he can't speak for days afterwards. And that's
I mean, this is the voice
yeah.
you come up with when you have 3 voice actors for 18 roles in
Right.
a
Mhm.
series, in
Mhm.
an episode.
For
and
sure.
you need something different. Like, it's amazing.
What's funny is
Yeah.
it still was a female doing the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She sounded like
Yeah.
Zool in Ghostbusters.
Yes.
You know, at the
Mhm.
end, like that's the
Mhm.
voice that popped in my head. But also, if you notice, there's one line she delivers where she takes in a very exasperated breath at one point, and you're like, she didn't do anything to make herself tired. That was the voice actress literally being done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there's question as to what is going to like how Hordak is going to get Huntara to take out She-Ra. And he's
Right.
got the brilliant plan. He's gonna tell her that She-Ra is evil. Good news, he's got some fake holo videos showing you all the bad stuff that she does, like blowing up a convoy full of medicine in tanks,
Yeah.
apparently.
Mm.
And burning down a village. And it's great, right? Because it's like 2 20-second clips, and Huntara's like, I've seen enough. She's clearly a problem. I'm on it.
Even Hordak's like, hey,
Um,
I've got some more.
Yeah.
yeah,
took.
I
she's
didn't think it was
like,
going to be that easy.
Yeah.
yeah. So she's like, no, I will fight her. But according to Salaxian honor, I have to fight her alone. No intervention from anybody. This has got to be one-on-one. And so they're like, all right, great. Have at it. So she sets out, and
Can I
her
just say
brilliant plan.
one of my favorite
Yeah.
lines though is between what is it, Catra and the Scorpion lady?
Scorpia.
Scorpia is like,
Scorpia.
I don't like
Yeah.
that woman. As much as I hate to agree with you, yeah, I agree with you.
So good. I love them. So, in order to convince Shira to fight, she needs bait. So, she shoots down the flutter plane and captures Glimmer. These are very girl words.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
We've put in
Yes.
some girl words,
Yeah.
and we're there.
Girl show. So the plane
To
has to
be
look
fair,
like a
I would have been
butterfly.
all about it. So, yeah.
Butterfly
A plane that
plane
looks like
toy.
a butterfly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This
Literally,
Christmas at
butterfly in
Toys
the
R
sky.
Us, get the butterfly
Mhm.
plane. Comes with a small
Yeah.
3-inch glitter.
Yeah. So cut to Princess Andorra, which is the human form of the regular form, the boring form, whatever. Of it's the atom form of Shira. And so she's talking to Bo, B-O-W. You'll never guess what his weapon is. And they get a message. And there's this little back and forth that's kind of cute, like, oh, but what if this message is for Shira? And it's like, I'm sure she won't mind. It was pretty good. There's a lot
like
of
that
third
the
person talking
innkeeper-
about Shira.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that the innkeeper delivers the message. Like, dude,
Yeah.
just random dude shows up in an apron, like, hey, somebody came into my inn and wanted this message to get to Shira. So,
I mean,
can you do that?
presumably Antara.
It's the most
Right.
tavern keeper from a generic D&D game kind of guy
Yep.
you've ever seen.
I mean, you know how you dump the party in a tavern to get them all together? Same
Yeah. Yep.
idea. You just need to start it over. You just start a plot line.
That guy
keeper,
just
no
travels
problem.
the universe knowing things. That's his job.
Yeah. So, they learn from this message that Huntara has imprisoned Glimmer in a dimensional transporter in the Crimson Waste. And if Shira doesn't show up alone at Tomb Rock by noon, she's going to send Glimmer to a place from which she will never return. Brutal.
Yeah, brutal is right.
Meanwhile, Catra and Scorpia, God, they're just heroes in this episode. I love them so much. So
And
much.
I love the fact that the voice actors for Shira and Glimmer, it's the same two that do Catra and Scorpia.
Yeah. So good. So they're going to tail these Shira and Huntara in their crawler. So good.
It's really good.
It's really good. I saw a Warhammer third party model that looked very much like it the other day, and now I really want it. So they're gonna, whatever happens between these two, whoever's left over, they're gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
All right. So Adora transforms into Shira. Love this for us. And has her Pegasus Swiftwind fly her to the Crimson Waste. I forgot that Swiftwind could talk. Didn't remember that.
Same. I mean, I didn't know, but I was
Didn't
shocked
remember
when
it
I
was
saw
just
it.
some guy.
Yeah.
Like not even
Um,
a horse voice, like a Mr. Ed thing
no.
going on. It's just like a dude going, "Well, hello, Shira. Good to see you today." Just the
And
Yeah.
cutest
it's
voice.
funny because in He-Man, Alan Oppenheimer did the voice of Cringer,
Right.
and he did a voice for Cringer. Like Cringer has a distinct voice, and it's very different from his Skeletor voice and all of that.
Yeah.
And in here, it's Lou Scheimer doing the voice of Swiftwind, but he does a bunch of the other characters. And yeah, his Swiftwind is just like, "Hey, how's it going?
It's like
Hey, She-Ra."
it's like
Hey,
Seth
you're a
MacFarlane's
pretty good
Brian.
lady.
It's just Seth
Yes.
MacFarlane's
Yeah.
voice.
Uh-huh.
Not even
Yeah.
trying.
So Shira's trying to convince Hantara that she is in fact not evil. That's ridiculous. The Horde is evil. You've got this all wrong. Hantara does not believe this and accuses her of being a coward. So, they battle. It's pretty good.
So
Mhm.
good.
Hantara's got a lot of tricks up her tiny skirt.
Yeah, she does.
She's got like tiny little flashbang marbles, which apparently also are sleeping ones. I don't know if they're the same ones. Presumably not. She's got these explodey star things.
Mm-hmm.
Real
Yep.
good.
Sam and
They
I
just
watched
all under her
this
little.
part together because Sam was like, "Can I watch a little bit of this with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, watch it with me." And he was like, we both looked at each other at the same time after she threw like the third item from her tiny skirt.
Yeah.
We're both just like,
Yeah.
Sam goes, "She's got a lot of room on those pockets."
That skirt,
Yep.
all pockets.
And
That's
Mhm.
it.
the one other line I wrote down was Shira's, "Man, she's got more tricks than my brother's friend Orko."
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
Orko. Mm-hmm.
It's real good.
sure.
Real good.
Except her tricks
Um,
work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this whole part where because she like sets a trap. Well, the first part, right? She like blows up part of the rock so it falls on top of Shira. And she's like, she'll never get out of this. And then Shira's like sitting on top, just like, haven't you ever seen an instant tunnel? What? No, clearly not.
No one has.
The second part was actually pretty good though, because Huntara like set up a decoy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Shira like takes out the decoy, and then she's in a trap. I don't know how she kept that trap in her tiny skirt, but okay. And then Shira just busts out, which is, I mean, expected because I looked at the trap and went, "There's no way.
Mm-mm.
This is
Mhm.
nothing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
not
that
the way
trap
it
is not
folded
holding
up.
She-Ra.
Yeah, no.
Shira wins by turning her sword into rope.
Oh, sword to
Mhm.
rope was the
Um,
best move I've ever seen.
Sword to rope, so good. Steals her little lightsaber beat sticks
Stun swords.
and then ties her up. Yeah. Um and per the Salaxian code, she is now Shira's slave. And Shira's like, no. That's no. No, the Horde does that. No, thank you. But listen. And so she's like, you don't seem that evil. She's like, no, you were lied to. Um So
And
Huntar's
just as
mad.
quickly as she believed Hordak that She-Ra is evil,
Yeah.
she believes She-Ra that she's not evil.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's ever so slightly more evidence that she's not evil
A little bit.
based off of personal experience. Because there's not a lot of shades. We're not talking shades of gray.
No. But it was just like She-Ra's defense was the Peter Griffin. Come on.
Mhm.
And she was just like, you know what? You've got a good
Come
point.
on.
Maybe you're
Yeah,
not
no,
evil.
that's good. Yeah. Um. So Huntara swears that Hordak will pay, and then releases Glimmer, and just then the crawler surfaces and puts the three of them to sleep with the scorpion sting cannon. God, it was
Took 'em
so
away.
good. Oh, I'm so happy. All right. So, Huntara, Shira, and Glimmer are taken to the fright zone.
Mm-hmm.
Hordak plans to imprison Huntara for failing to capture She-Ra.
Mm-hmm.
However, she uses a smoke bomb to slip away. So then she's like hiding behind this little pole, and she throws another exploder star to blow up the force field around She-Ra and Glimmer. And then this Three Stooges act of bad guys happens. There are like a lot of robots.
Yeah.
Like a door opens. He's like, I'll show you. Door opens. It's just like so many robots.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like a Scooby-Doo scene where they're just like running back and forth.
And,
You know?
and flipping around. A lot of flipping.
Yeah.
Well, I love
Yes,
that
so
that,
much flipping.
that door opens. It's just a sea of those robots, and then two of them run out,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that's it. And there's the one holding the stun
The
swords.
one holding them has
Mhm.
the stun swords and Shear's sword, and he's just standing there, and people are running by and flipping, and he just stands there.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah,
And Glimmer just
this
runs
is
up,
great.
grabs his sword. Hey, here, She-Ra.
This
The amount
belongs to a
of,
friend of mine.
The amount of flipping reuse of that animation throughout this episode
Mhm.
was just stunning. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
look, they
It's
flipped.
good.
Oh, there's the same flip. Oh, they mirrored
I
it this
mean,
time so they can land
It's a
on the
flipping
other
good
side.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great. It reminded me of how 80s animation was done, like cheap, fast, and reuse as much as you can.
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh,
to be
yeah.
fair though, even not cheap, fast animation, like if you look at Disney stuff, there are great videos of like the same animations used over and over in different movies, like in that Robin Hood,
Oh, yeah, the dance
Cinderella,
and the
like
Cinderella
and
dance, yeah.
it's really cool when you see them like cut together and you're like, that's actually pretty awesome because it looks different, but it's not.
Right.
But
Like,
this is a little different because it's literally the same
oh, it's literally the same for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
same thing.
Mhm.
And what I love too about it is, especially in the hills or whatever they went to fight. You remember those
Yeah.
little sticker kits you could get as a kid that had like the background and you could just
Yes.
re-stick the
Uh-huh.
little stickers all over it? That's exactly
Yep.
what this reminded me of just
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
background, and we're just gonna zoom in on certain parts of it,
Yep.
and we're gonna move the
Well-
Yep.
stickers around.
Last week we talked about DuckTales, and we talked about how they spent like $275,000 per episode
Sure.
creating that and animating it and everything. They did not spend that much making She-Ra the Princess
Disney,
of Power.
this is not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. This is
'Cause they
one
would
step above
reuse-
stop motion.
Yeah, and I mean they would reuse animation in future episodes that
Yeah.
exists here, or vice versa. There was
Well, I mean, like
the Hollow recordings
yeah,
or
the
whatever
hollow
was reused
videos were
animation.
from other episodes.
Mhm.
Like those were legit, which I mean that makes sense because
Yeah,
that's
sure.
literally what he was doing.
But like Huntara
Um,
going into her miniskirt to grab, whatever
Oh, yeah.
thing out of
Oh,
her
yeah.
her utility
Same
belt was
animation.
the same animation every time.
Mm-hmm.
So Shear's got her sword. Huntara's like this chain, and then came the funniest part for me, right? Because She-Ra cuts the chain between the two cuffs. Great.
Big
And then
action
Huntara
shot
just
for that.
slips
Oh
him.
yeah.
Yeah, Huntara just slips him off, and I'm like, you didn't need, you didn't.
You
You
couldn't have done that
didn't.
the whole time.
Was it symbolic? What are we? Now is not the time.
It did give me a very Roger Rabbit feel there for a
Yes.
second. Like you
Yeah.
could have done that the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
No, only when
No,
it was
only
funny.
when it was funny. So so then Catra and Scorpia both leap at Huntara, who jumps out of the way, and they crash into each other in a
Mhm.
pile. So good.
Mm.
Apparently, according to the wiki, in the original script, they were supposed to like switch hats in this
Yeah.
crash. Pretty good. I can see why you might get confused though, as their only distinctive characteristics are in their hats.
Mhm.
So it really
Yeah.
wouldn't have paid off in the way you
Yeah.
really wanted it to. So as more of the horde troopers are coming, Huntara, She-Ra, and Glimmer decide to leave because that's what you have to do. You can never beat the bad guy
Mhm.
because we need him for next week,
Let's just get out
and
of
that's
here.
fine. Yeah.
Until next time.
So Huntara is getting ready to return to Silax. She was like, "You can stay. You can be part of the rebellion." And she's like, "Nope, I'm needed on my home planet." But she promises that next time they meet, it will be as friends. And then this part was so good. So she flies away, and Shira says she's quite a woman. And then Swiftwind, who I did forget spoke, is like nuzzling her and goes, "So are you, Shira. So are you," as the most middle-aged man voice ever.
It's really great. It's the game show host level of deep, at least the right
Yeah.
tone. Yeah.
It is.
So good.
It is funny the whole time. Every time she said Swiftwind, she said it really fast, and I thought she was saying Swifty.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
Okay.
Taylor
Yeah.
Swift, eat your heart
I
out.
mean-
Shira was there first.
Yep.
You know, we're picking at Swiftwind's voice, but Shira's voice isn't far off from like Leave It to
No.
Beaver's mom. Like it's Barbara Billingsley, just about.
Yeah.
It's pretty dang close
sure.
in tone. Yeah.
But she's not a horse, though.
No,
Right.
she's also not a
Yeah.
But especially compared to her Adora voice, like that was like
Yeah.
super bubbly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. She's a mature
right,
fighter woman when
so-
she's She-Ra.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be an 80s show if we didn't learn a lesson.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, this was the best.
And we've got Lookie. Did not remember this at all.
No.
Lookie hides in an episode, in a scene in an episode. And so he shows up and he's like, "Hey, did you find where I was hiding today? Here's another chance." And they show you the shot again, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like that's
Mhm.
pretty
That was
good.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like hiding in a tree. Real good. So then we learn our lesson for the day, which was Hordak thought he could beat Shira by telling Huntara lies, but it didn't work because lies don't work. And when they always get found out, and then it's even bigger trouble. So you should just tell the truth always.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Lookie, for that very important lesson. And that's
Lookie,
end
by
of
the way,
episode.
speaking of, because I continue to hammer on this voice stuff, Lookie voiced by the same person that voiced Huntara. So,
Oh my god,
Sure.
that is quite.
You
the
know.
This is what I'm
difference.
saying. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's so
Sam-
good.
Sam loved the Lookie part. Sam thought that was great. He was
Oh, I'm
like,
sure.
"Oh," he
Yeah,
looked at
it's
it. He's like,
perfect.
"Oh, that was
Yeah.
a good hiding spot." And I was like, "Yeah, it was." It's
It
so-
was a good hiding spot.
Yeah, if you can find a small child, preferably one you're allowed to hang out with, you should watch cartoons like this with them because it changes the perspective.
I love it.
Agreed.
All right, and some
So-
interesting facts from the wiki.
please.
I wanna
curious
I
on
wanna talk
these.
about
Can't
some
wait for
interesting
this.
facts from the
Yeah.
wiki. So in the original script, and I do get why they changed this, but Huntara is described as an ebony-skinned warrior with both Grace Jones and Storm of the X-Men being mentioned as reference material.
I can see that.
Now, but I also get why you don't make your like hunter trapper character automatically black. Like that's also
Mhm.
not a super terrific choice. So I do
No,
get
but
that part.
They definitely just made a purple-skinned Grace Jones. Like,
They did.
saying
Yeah.
Grace
Oh,
Jones
they
as
did.
reference material, they just drew Grace
Yeah.
Jones and
They
changed
just
her
did.
skin and hair color.
Yeah. They there's this whole this wiki is so good because they talk about like the shot of Catra and Scorpia looking at each other in shock was first used in the episode Small Problems. Phenomenal. This community, man.
That's amazing.
Oh, I love everything about this.
Is this a fan wiki or is this Wikipedia?
Yeah, it sure is. This is he-man.fandom.com.
Okay, that's where
Oh,
you.
yeah.
In
those
fact,
are the places.
and they
you wanna
cover
go.
everything.
Yeah,
Those are the
people
dedicated
dig
ones.
deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot of blog links that are no longer available on the internet, which is sad. One of them that says the infamous Huntara image, which I can only assume is that one shot from the bottom.
Right?
That was the
Mhm.
part I scanned by. I was like, sure, yeah, let's do this one. That seems like a choice.
Yeah.
Let's go. They have
It was a
errors, and I'm like,
choice.
don't bother. Don't bother. Errors, no.
I love that they're just like disbanded or links that have disappeared because all I can think of is like websites set up in the late '90s that had web rings. You remember that?
Oh
It was
Yeah.
yeah.
like
Oh
a
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Shira web ring of all, all these
Mhm.
Oh
episodes of
yeah.
content.
God, what a
Those,
time.
those were great.
They were.
Huntara was supposed to come back in a later episode that was written and storyboarded, but it never went into production.
Because
Sad
the
day.
voice
A
actress
bummer.
couldn't do it. You know.
She couldn't do it.
It was a one and done.
Mhm.
She quit smoking and she just couldn't
Just,
pull
I
it off
can't.
anymore.
That is the voice though. You come up with that voice, you do that, you record all your lines for
You
this
regret
episode
it
in one day, and
forever.
you regret it for the rest of your
Mhm.
career.
Forever.
Yeah. You're never gonna
Forever.
recover from that.
Yeah. Um so yeah, that was Shira. I was pretty psyched. I didn't remember it. I mean, yeah. Yeah, the animation's not great. And the voice acting made some choices. But it
Mhm.
was great. It was so good. I was so excited. I was like, yes, let's go. Let's fight back, guys. I'm here
Part of
for it. But boys, go ahead.
Well,
What
part of
Trav?
what makes it work so well is it is no better or worse than the show it spun out of. Like if you go back and watch
Oh,
episodes of
yeah.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe,
Oh yeah.
it's the same thing, just
Sure.
with a
Sure.
bunch of big beefy guys.
Oh my
Like
gosh, the number
Yeah.
of times I can tell you I remember He-Man running to a spot, looking left, looking right, and then
Yep.
looking again, like seeing that animation over and over
Oh
and
yeah,
over.
every single episode that they would have that
Mm-hmm.
animation. I do find it really humorous that He-Man's costume is smaller than She-Ra's, given the
Yeah, for
era
sure
that this
it is.
came out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I forgot that her sword did more than just like it didn't shoot beams out of it like
No.
He-Man's
Yeah.
sword. It changed, it turned into stuff because she didn't fight a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sword to rope.
No, like most of the fight with Huntara, she doesn't have her sword out at all.
Yeah.
She's just trying to talk her out of it and jumping around.
Mhm.
And I love that. Regular Wikipedia does have the like breakdown, like the character by character breakdown of them all being exactly the same as He-Man,
Mhm.
which is fine. It's fine. But I do love it. So boys, I want to know what you thought about Shira. Travis, I'll start with you.
I mean, I had fun. Like I loved He-Man, and if I had actually like paid attention, I would have watched episodes of this as a kid because it was the same show.
Yeah.
And it was just as silly and just as fun. She was actually originally going to be in the live action Masters of the Universe movie.
Mhm.
In the early concepts, they were going to have She-Ra in there, and then they decided to focus on just He-Man and save her for the sequel,
Mhm.
which never happened and
Yeah.
became Cyborg. Fun fact.
Huh. There you go.
Hmm.
Cyborg, the
Good
movie, was
times.
originally the sequel to Masters of the Universe,
Oh,
and they
wow.
reworked the script, and it became that movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Interesting.
Yeah, but no, I love this stuff. It's so cheeseball, and it's so like, and then you gotta like force in the lesson at the end. Like,
Yep.
So
what
you
can we pull from this?
absolutely
Oh,
do.
okay,
Mhm.
and that's I just love it. I love all that kind of stuff. So I would totally watch more.
Awesome. Audie, how about you?
Yeah, this was another one of those fun nostalgia bombs for sure. I did not remember the voice work at all, so that was, whew, that was a fun surprise, especially
Huh?
Hordak. Dear Lord, and Steven,
Yeah.
you did great with your intro with that. Like I couldn't have
Oh,
done
it's
better.
perfect.
Good. So yeah, it was great. It makes me it doesn't make me want to watch the series as much as want to actually see what the reboot was like
Yeah.
because I never did watch that. So
Mhm.
it makes me want to go watch that.
Yeah.
So now I want to go watch rebooted DuckTales and She-Ra.
Nice.
Right?
Nice. Steven, with your no history with
Yeah.
He-Man
Mm-hmm.
and this sort of thing, I want to know what you thought of She-Ra.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes or so was pretty rough because I wasn't prepared. Because it plays
Yeah.
this background music the whole time, just a little louder than it needs to be, and the
Mhm.
voices everybody's talking, and it's just like, I mean, at one point Sam looked at me, he's like, "This is a lot at once. I feel like I can't handle it." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's it's a barrage to the senses of just." But after I sat down and I went upstairs to my computer and listened to it with different speakers and watched with a different mode of operation, and we got to Swift Wind and the story started to take off, I was like, all right, I can hang in there. And by the end of it, I mean, me and Sam were both like, that was cool. We do that again. Sam was into it. It was like, yeah, that was neat, you know. So, and they won him over with Lookie at the end. So I
That's
totally,
great.
I could watch more She-Ra, and it made me curious also about the reboot. So
Yeah.
definitely interested in both.
Awesome. Awesome. I was very excited for this little trip down memory lane to remember what Tiny Me was into. And it was
Mhm.
this. My mother must have just rolled her eyes, man. This must have been honest. She just must have been like, "Oh man, I don't know."
I
But
feel like
that's
she
fine
would
because
have
I
the
had a
same. She would have the reaction that Steven's mom had for the Noozles.
Yes.
yeah.
Right? Like, this
Yeah.
is terrible. What are you watching?
What are you watching?
But fortunately, I have an older brother and sister who are 16 and 17 years older than me, so they would have been right in the thing to just really encourage this whole thing.
Mhm. Oh
So
yeah.
that's phenomenal. So that is my contribution to 80s cartoons. We've got one more before we
do.
head into what will inevitably be the holiday season. So I don't think we're gonna bother doing a survey because I just assumed,
Yes.
which is why I didn't remind anyone that we hadn't done it. So Travis, you are
Yes,
finishing up
I am.
80s cartoons. What do you got, bud?
Well, so we've done DuckTales. We've gone weird with some Japanese show about koalas and noozles. We've done She-Ra, the Princess of Power. We're going in a different direction. We are going to watch the Mobile Armored Strike Command, M.A.S.K,
Oh,
Mm.
which was a show that was based off of a line of toys, as most 80s cartoons were.
Mhm.
Yep.
It has a banger of a theme song. And I had a bunch of these toys growing up. So I have a little bit of a special place for this show, but I cannot wait. We are watching season 1, episode 5. I do not remember the title of it now, but it is
Highway
available.
Terror.
Highway
It
to
says
Terror.
1-4 in the
Oh,
document.
okay. And that is available via Tubi, which is a free streaming service. So you can watch it there. And I'm sure it's also on YouTube somewhere. But Highway to Terror. And this is going to be fun. I can't wait to hear what everybody thinks of it.
I am excited because I don't know this one.
me neither.
Did we get
do.
any feedback
We
anywhere?
did. Thank you for asking, Abby. First of all, we got some feedback in the chat as we were talking about the show from Astigma82, who says this was my
Mm-hmm.
first time watching She-Ra, and I would totally watch more, which is
Nice.
fantastic. We also got an email from our good friend Sean, who has emailed us before. Thank you, Sean, for your continued support through your feedback. And he says, I continue to love this show and the unique perspectives you all bring to each episode. Aw, that's touching. I'm looking forward to the upcoming episode about She-Ra because despite having grown up watching tons of He-Man, I had never seen a single episode of She-Ra. I'm a big fan of kick-ass female leading characters, and I proudly say that my daughter is a warrior princess. Thank you for many wonderful hours of audio entertainment, Sean. Thank you, Sean, for your feedback. That's awesome. Tell Warrior Princess
awesome.
we said hello.
Yeah.
And to keep fighting or whatever Shira says. Sword to rope.
Fantastic. You can leave us feedback. You can find us on the social medias. It's in the show notes. Or you can email us at thosewerethedayshow@gmail.com.
Correct.
You can do that, and then we'll read it and we'll talk about it, and it'll be great. And we'll say thank you so many times because we love
will.
to get email.
And I also want to mention.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to mention Michael Miller, aka Joe Uncool, who did also when I I posted Audie's artwork of, hey, we're talking about She-Ra tonight, and just got back just a big old picture of She-Ra, the Princess of Power, sword raised.
Excellent.
So Michael Miller also all about it.
Audie's art tickled me. It was very good.
It was very good,
It's just
as
really
always.
good.
Amazing.
It's always good, but there are some that just get me. And it's
Mhm.
really good.
Well, he drew me exactly who I wanted to be, so I'd like without even me telling him. So it's perfect.
No, he just knows. He knows what to
Yeah.
do.
Who knows? Yeah.
It's fun. Thank you.
Yep.
Executive Tutu.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. As always. So for next week, watch M.A.S.K season 1, episode 4, Highway to Terror. Use those episode numbers with a grain of salt because we know how it do be. And come back and hang out with us while we talk about more 80s cartoons. Until next time, for Audie, for Steven, for Travis, I'm Amy, and thank you for listening.